The driver of that sell-off yesterday was all semiconductors. And interestingly enough, Nvidia was down about 10% yesterday, and there wasn't really any news for why the stock was down 10%. But ironically, the news came out after the bell, which was a DOJ subpoena that was sent to Nvidia to look at, potentially monopolistic practices. The question is how did the market know about that well before the actual subpoena announcement of the subpoena was released? Here's what you need to know before the bell. So yesterday, we noted in the morning that the markets were overbought, we were losing momentum, and that there was a risk of a correction in September or October just because of a whole variety of risks, right? We've got the election coming up. There's going to be a lot of debate over that. We've got the blackout window for stock buyback starting on Thursday. So again, there's this going to be extraction of momentum. Well, yesterday the market sold off a lot sharper than we thought. And we noted yesterday morning in particular that what we were watching was this consolidation of price that was occurring. The market ran right into up to the previous highs. That was our resistance mark. And we said, okay, if the market can break above that, then we've got a continued run going. If we fail at that level, then we're going to have a bit more consolidation here. And the first test that we were looking for, as we said yesterday, was this crossover of the 50 and the 20-day moving average. We said that's initial support. So we should see the markets hold on to that support level if we come back to that level. Well, I certainly thought that we would potentially get a little bit of a sell-off yesterday. I didn't realize that we would do it all in one day. The markets opened down and then we sold off all day long yesterday, with the markets actually testing and bouncing off yesterday that 20-50-day crossover. I mean, we literally landed on it yesterday and then bounced off of it going into the close. But it was a pretty brutal sell-off yesterday. We did reverse some of that overbought condition, not enough yet to suggest that this selling pressure is over by any stretch. And most importantly, though, we're very close now to triggering that sell signal on the MACD. So again, it doesn't mean that we're going to have a massive 5%, 10% correction, whatever it is. Although yesterday was very steep, and we'll talk about one of the reasons why here in a sec. But again, just pay attention to this. I would certainly expect the markets to potentially try to bounce a little bit today. We'll see. We're going to open lower this morning, but again, I wouldn't be surprised that by the end of the day we try to see some buying coming in, particularly since we're kind of close to an important support level. If we take out this support level right here at the 50 20-day crossover, we're going to be looking at the 100-day as the next level of support. That's right around 53.50 on the S&P. So again, there is some downside risk here, and this is why we talked about recently, taking profits, reducing risk, etc. That continues to be the mantra here. I would use rallies, any bounces in the markets. If you haven't done that, use a bounce today, tomorrow, whenever it occurs, to reduce that risk a little bit more as we move further into the month. And again, just keep a watch on our sell signals, because that's the important thing. Now, the driver of that sell-off yesterday was all semiconductors. And interestingly enough, Nvidia was down about 10% yesterday, and there wasn't really any news for why the stock was down 10%. But ironically, the news came out after the bell, which was a DOJ subpoena that was sent to Nvidia to look at, potentially monopolistic practices. The question is how did the market know about that well before the actual subpoena announcement of the subpoena was released? I guess Nancy Pelosi called her buddies. I'm your host, Lance Roberts. That's what you need to know before the bell.